If you were to check how much screen time that you're racking up on your phone every day, the number would shock you. And if you're going to be on your phone that much, you might as well make some cash while doing it. And you can do that with today's sponsor, Free Cash. You see, they've got lots of games, offers, surveys, and apps that you test. And depending on what you complete, you earn rewards. It's really simple. The more you play, the more they pay. And look, I'm not saying this is going to turn you into a millionaire, but in this economy, if you're looking for ways to earn extra cash, this might be a nice, easy way for you to do it. And they've got a 4.7 out of 5 rating on Trustpilot with over 267,000 reviews. And they've paid out over $250 million to users of the app already. And if you do use it, make sure your phone tracking is on so that you can get the right localized offers just for you. So if you want to make some cash when you're sitting around wasting time on your phone, you better try this. Just use my link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen now and you'll get a $10 bonus after completing your first offer. So big thanks to Free Cash for sponsoring this video, supporting the channel. Big thanks to you lot who do click the link because it helps us keep these videos coming. But for now, enjoy the video.
Hello there, my name's John. I'm calling from your local Labour Party.
Labour can fuck off. Labour, fuck this country right up. Fuck off, go on, fuck off.
Yeah, that was the message from pretty much everyone to Keir Starmer as they voted in the recent local elections of Britain. And I'm going to get into why Labour took such a beating in today's video, because your favourite right-wing grifter has got a lot to say. The same right-wing grifter who, when it Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Andrew Tate, when every actual right-wing grifter was platforming this guy, Nigel Farage, the Conservative Party, Donald Trump when he was found out to be one of Epstein's mates. I've got at all of those people, and I'm about as effective on the right wing as the Newcastle football team right now. And as for grifting, I'd bloody love to get some money out of this because all I seem to get for my opinions is shit. But you know what? Too many normal working class blokes tell me every fucking day that I am speaking out for them, so you're not going to shut me up. So call me what you want, I don't give a fuck. So for those who don't know, the UK have had their local council elections, so we haven't got a new Prime Minister yet, but about a third of the areas at this point were able to elect a new local councillor to oversee your bin collections, your roads and that sort of stuff. Now the reason this is important is because it gives you a big indicator of the way the country feels and the way they're likely to vote when it comes to electing the next Prime Minister. And the big takeaways were that Reform made huge gains, especially in Labour areas, ironically, and Labour got smashed to bits. And this comes after Keir Starmer tried to postpone these elections for as long as he possibly could because he knew fine well the results were going to expose the fact that he's finished. And there is no way he is winning the next election. Now, unlucky for him, Reform actually legally challenged him trying to do this and forced these elections to go ahead. Can you believe they even have to do that? So why have Labour blown it so badly and lost those working class voters? Well, it's ironic because it kind of comes back to what I was saying at the start about me being right-wing grifter and all of that. They've redefined ordinary working class people with general common sense concerns as far right. Instead of listening to them and actually thinking what's actually best for the people of this country, what do they actually want? They knew they were never going to go along with it because they take their orders from upstairs, in my opinion. They're bought and paid for. So they had to demonize the normal people of this country. They tried to shame them into silence, and it turns out calling everyone who doesn't vote for you racist doesn't actually work anymore. This is the recent poll done by YouGov. Reform are just absolutely miles out in front. And I've already done a video saying I'm not going to vote for Reform. I wouldn't vote for Reform. That doesn't mean I don't understand why people want to vote for Reform. But you know who doesn't get it? The tolerant lefties. Yeah, let's see how they took the news.
You know, the saying, like, I'm not even angry anymore, I'm just disappointed.
You should be disappointed in your hairdresser. I'm sorry. It's just the nose. She has a nose ring and the rainbow hair. It's so cliche, isn't it?
There goes my future. There goes my rights.
Did Nigel Farage say he's going to take away women's rights? Don't remember that. Although it's a good reason to vote for him. I'm only joking. I'm joking. I like women. Of course I do. Me mum's one.
I have a question for all the people that have voted for Reform. What's going to happen to your cheeky Chinese? What's going to happen to your doner kebab? What's going to happen to the food and the takeaways that you like to get?
The takeaways will be fine. They're actually pro-business, so that'll actually help. The left-wing propaganda has been so effective that people actually think that every single immigrant under Reform is going to be booted out of the country. It's actually mental.
To me, it looks like you don't know what you're talking about. You're encouraging people to vote Reform, and they don't even know what they're doing. Guys, like, Reform supports people being deported back to their home country. It supports racism.
Let me get this right. Not wanting people to come into the country illegally is racist. What, so we should just all put into the system, all work hard, pay our taxes, everyone's putting it together, we're all in this together, and then someone from outside can just come in, go, yeah, I'll have a bit of that. And if you've got a problem with that, racist. Fucking insane, this. It's absolutely mental. She's so edgy, this one. I hate reform so much, it makes me physically sick.
You're just some racist who can't tie my laces.
These white girls at uni, they're just so anti-establishment. They're so edgy, aren't they? Because the establishment for the last 3 fucking decades has been pro-immigration, by the way. So the thing that you're supporting, it is the system. You're actually really, you're helping them. You're not edgy, but carry on. I like it. I like the vibes. People that voted for reform saying all the kebabs and doner meat fly away. They're not trying to deport every single immigrant. What about this do you lot not understand? And also, why is it just food? Why is that the only thing you can say?
A reform of one. That's us GAYs going to prison and having everything taken away.
Gays are going to prison. On the plus side, if you do end up in jail, think of all the hot guys you'll be bunking with. They're not going to jail. He's mental. He is mental.
Nigel Farage is some of the things he's taken away from the LGBT community.
Wait. He's banning transgender ideology in schools. That's a good thing. If people think they were born in a different body, let them discover that in their own way. Let's not put that into kids' minds. I'm for that. Completely. But it doesn't say anywhere on that screen that if you're gay, you're getting locked up. So I don't know what the hell this guy's on about.
So I had an uncle today say that he voted reform because there's too many people entering the country. Uncle, you wouldn't be in the country if we were under a reform government to begin with. What?
What's funny is many immigrants who've came into this country can now look at everything and acknowledge what was once a positive for this country has now actually become a burden on resources. We're not a massive country, you know what I mean? And what I love about that is that it proves that it's not a colour issue. It's a quality of life issue. And ironically, the billionaires that these lefties are always raging at and pointing the finger at and saying, oh, it's all their fault. Who do you think benefits the most out of mass immigration? The more people that come into this country, the harder it is for wages to go up. The less the billionaires have to pay us all. And the more people that are here, the bigger the market is to consume the shit that all of their companies make. Why do you think mass immigration continued under Labour and the Conservative Party when they're supposed to be polar opposites of each other? Yet it stayed the fucking same the whole time. Because they're both bought and paid for and they sold out the British public. And look, we're not the only ones. You got the UK, Australia, Germany, France. All have political parties on the right that are surging in those countries. Why? Because mass immigration was a global agenda and one that people are fucking fed up with.
These are some things that I don't think you should be allowed to do if you vote reform. Get Indian food, get Chinese food, get any food that's not British food.
Why is it always the fucking food? I love when trying to be pro-immigration, the only thing they can think of that they can say immigrants have offered is good food. It's actually so demeaning to immigrants that they say that, in my opinion. Well, you don't deserve a Chinese. Is that all they've done since they've come here? Is that what you're saying? Because that's all you've ever fucking mentioned. Like, at least bring up the fact that we've got NHS workers and, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot. They're all good things that they've done. No one's saying they haven't. People are just saying everything has a limit. Everything, you know, we want a bit of control, bit of sensibility here. And yes, the takeaways are bloody good, by the way. What is your favourite takeaway? Let me know in the comments, by the way. The best takeaway is the last to leave. That's the way we're going to do it. This is nonsense, honestly.
Vote for reform. You're not allowed to order Indian or Chinese takeaway ever again. Like, you want them all out, so don't buy stuff from them.
I feel sorry, you know, for people like this because they feel personally attacked. They feel like because you want controlled immigration, that you actually are a racist and that you have a problem with people coming from another country and being here at all. And that's sad. You know what I mean? It is genuinely sad, but that's the brainwashing that they've been subjected to. And ironically, that's the real division that's being created in people's minds. And don't get me wrong, I understand that there's some people who vote for reform who may have fucking crazy beliefs and maybe bad people. I get that. Let's not act like there's not fucking crazy bad people on both sides.
Say you won't forget me.
Watching the election results as reform take over and being scared for my daughter's future. I mean, that's ironic because if we're going to get serious for a second about safety, men who weren't vetted came into this country unchecked and murdered and raped young women and girls. And what reform, ironically, are trying to do is stop that from happening. But tell me again about how you'll be more safe, you know, with uncontrolled immigration. Just tell me that. Tell that I'm getting annoyed. Tell that to the little boy whose mother worked at one of these hotels for these illegal immigrants who she was murdered as she left work by one of them. But no, we don't want any control. We don't want any vetting. We don't want to check who the fuck we're letting into this country. Why bother? Because that wouldn't help safety at all, would it? And as I said, I'm not voting reform, but I understand why people are. And when people are calling these people racist just because they're voting for reform, I'm like, okay, in that case, why did so many Labour voters go over to reform? You know, these compassionate sayings who are Labour voters. Well, these councils who've been Labour for 50 fucking years turned reform out of nowhere. Did they all just wake up one day and go, feeling a bit racist? What, are you starting to feel a bit racist? I think I might vote reform. People who'd been Labour voters for 30 years, out of nowhere, their morals changed. They thought, nah, I'm a massive racist now, me like. Or did decent people just get sick of having the absolute piss taken out of them for the last few decades? This was the votes in Tyne and Wear. Reform, 58%, Labour, 9%. Do you know we were all brought up and brainwashed to say, you only ever vote Labour around here? Do you know how shit you've got to be to undo the level of brainwashing we all got as kids here? This is Manchester now. Manchester. Fucking hell. Notoriously Labour as fuck. And Manchester just turned racist overnight, eh? Or did the working class realise that the party of the working class, Labour, don't give a fuck about them? Barnsley's council was Labour for 50 years. Let's see what their councillor, who'd been in the job for 30 years, had to say when he lost his job.
The public tell me you've done a brilliant job, so why won't you vote for us?
And what's the but?
And the but is, we don't like what the government's doing. We don't think the government's listening to us. We don't like what the Prime Minister's doing. We don't think the Prime Minister's listening to us. So we're not going to vote Labour.
And that's straight from the Labour councillor's mouth. It's not that they all just became racist overnight. It's that they've been failed, and even he knows it. And it's funny because Labour have depended on the working class vote for years. So much so that they've totally taken it for granted. And now the working class are voting elsewhere. They're terrible people now. They're bigots. And it's like, all right, I see how this works. You love identity politics until it's not in your favour. But the reality is obvious. The people haven't changed. The parties have changed. The Labour Party stopped being about helping the working classes years ago. The same way the Conservative Party stopped being about helping small businesses and being tough on crime years ago. And fuck me, even the Green Party has stopped being about helping the environment. None of these fuckers actually stand for anything anymore. It's all about what's best for them and what they want, and not what the average bloke on the street wants. And that's really why Reform have done as well as they have, because they've just fucking listened. And for all people have a go at Nigel Farage, and I have as well, he's been smart enough to go, this is what they want, offer them that. Really not a complicated formula, is it? And now all the people who are losing are having a go at those people instead of realising we're here to give people what they actually want. We're here to serve the people. That one thing there is why no one fucking gets it. Right now, the polling shows that the top drivers for why people are voting for reform is immigration levels, the economic strain on the working classes. And what makes me laugh is the people on the left, the audacity of them. They think it's perfectly fine to tax British-born people at record high levels when people are struggling more than ever. They then house, feed, and give benefits to people who've entered this country and contributed fuck all, and then anyone who objects to that, they brand them a racist. The British taxpayer has every right to say that the money that we're putting into this system should be spent on British-born people first. People are so much worse off than their parents were. Their grandparents of these families fought in wars for this country. There's a lot been given. So wanting your taxes to benefit the people of this country first, it isn't racist, it isn't hateful even. It's basic common sense. And that's what the left don't understand about it. They're so confused, and I do find this funny, to be honest. Like, they think that, well, you lot, you're all poor, and we're going to give you benefits in exchange for votes. So everyone's a winner. For a start, that's no way to run a fucking country, by the way. For the first time in UK history, we're actually spending more money on welfare than we're actually bringing in on income tax. Do you know how mental that is? 331 billion in a year we bring in from income tax. We're spending 333 billion on benefits. That is killing the country, and it's killing people's ability to just fucking save a bit of cash and buy a house and have some fucking kids. It's an absolute disgrace. But it's a system that's been created deliberately to buy votes. And what's funny is it still isn't working, because what the left don't understand about the working classes, because they underestimate them so much, is that working class people don't want to spend their life on benefits. That's the thing that they miss. What they want is an opportunity to make their own way so that they don't have to live off the state. It's great that benefits are available for people who need them. If you're disabled or whatever, you can't work. Absolutely, that's a necessary thing. But we we know what's gone on here. And the only way to have a prayer of getting out of this benefit system is to have opportunity. And the only way to have opportunity is have a pro-business government. And Labour will never, ever, ever be a pro-business government. They kill opportunity. They put employer taxes up. You've got unemployment up by 200,000 year on year. And I'm not saying that Reform are going to come in and fix that. I'm not even voting Reform, like I said. But you have no hope whatsoever with Labour. So again, I understand why people are willing to roll the dice. And that's just a clear example why people are turning their back on Labour. And that's before we even talk about Starmer. Fucking hell. Let's look at what one of Keir Starmer's own MPs told him about his political party.
A number of weeks ago, at a private meeting with my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, I spoke about how, after a career of working so closely with victims of child sexual abuse, that I could not even begin to express how much it hurts me when people are screaming at me in the street that I am a member of the Pedo Protectors Party.
Now, why are Labour saying to Labour MPs in the middle of the street that you're a Pedo Protector Party? Well, how long have you got? Starmer appointed this guy, Peter Mandelson, as one of his right-hand men. Pictured here at Jeffrey Epstein's pad because he was one of his best mates. And when it all came out that he was feeding information to Jeffrey Epstein about the British government, Starmer was, I was not to know. I didn't know that he was that close with Epstein. It came out multiple times that Starmer did know. And when it was put forward to have an investigation into Starmer and what he did know, he made sure that everyone voted against it and he used his power to shut down the investigation. Not for the first time. What about the grooming gangs? He instructed all of the Labour MPs to vote against a national inquiry into the grooming gang scandal and what was really going on and how there was a cover-up there. Wonder why he would do that. Because Labour were involved in the cover-up. They were complicit in the rape of young British girls. And that alone is why Labour should never ever be elected again. I mean, that's just the only reason you need. Imagine a political party voting against an investigation into the rapes of hundreds, if not thousands, of young British girls, not wanting to uncover the truth, not wanting to give those girls justice, and then having the cheek to call other people, bad people, bigots, for voting for another party. You didn't give them another fucking choice. And look, the cover-up is still ongoing, because when they were basically forced into doing an investigation, they got good old Jess Phillips on it, who was accused by the victims, who she was interviewing and corresponding with, of shutting it down, of stalling, of not doing a real investigation, but simply being there to oversee another cover-up so this doesn't blow out of proportion. They're despicable. That's before we even get on to the way Starmer handled the Southport murders. This, for me, is his defining moment of his entire legacy. When ordinary people were outraged, hurting, upset, and they took to their social media accounts and they lashed out in rage and were concerned as well. Like, how the fuck was this ever able to happen? And yeah, some of them stepped the mark, but given the situation, what do we expect? 3 little girls were massacred by this terrorist. And instead of Keir Starmer getting his hands around the situation and addressing those valid concerns and investigating how this was able to happen, all he wanted to do was silence the people that were pointing the finger at him and saying, how are you letting these things happen on a regular basis? He's thrown more people in jail for social media posts than any world leader there is. And in doing so, he branded them far-right thugs. When those words left his mouth, that's when he lost every working class people, because we were all outraged and all he cared about was silencing them, because he isn't there for the people. He doesn't give a fuck. He wants to control the narrative. That's exactly why the victims' families of these poor little girls were told, we are going to address this as a terrorist attack by the police. The police said it's a terror attack. And it seems like after the police told the victims' families that, something happened, and next thing you know, they're going to the media saying, nah, it wasn't a terror attack. Complete 180. Interesting that. And we know that Labour get involved with stuff like this, because whenever it comes to the press reporting some of these kinds of murders and attacks, they never report the nationality of victims. They always are very careful with how they report things, or silence it, censor it completely. That is a Keir Starmer trademark of his government, which is why when Sky News post about an event like this, you say that there's no replies and that they don't say what the person looked like, all of that. That is Keir Starmer's behind all of that. But let's not get all head up about the people of Britain, because to be fair to Keir, he has actually looked after Ukraine. I mean, he did cut the winter fuel payments for millions of pensioners, obviously letting them freeze, but at least he managed to find the billions for the Ukraine military and the hotels for the migrants. And look, I could go on and on and on. This man has no credibility whatsoever. But look, let's see what he had to say after the damning election results came in.
Other parties will draw different lessons. In fact, they already are. More pointing at Britain's problems, looking not for solutions, but for someone to blame. Now, that's fine if it's me, if it's politicians, that's the job. But increasingly, it's not. It's other people in this country. And I don't think that's British. That is not the decency and respect that we are known for.
And look, this is all he's got, man, the diversity shit. Like, did you hear any solutions from him there? Nothing. It's all about diversity. And in fact, he got up in front of a bunch of school kids and said the same shit to them.
I think it is a real sign of just how divisive they are, and that their politics and their policies will tear this country apart. We are a proud country where we bring people together, and we're proud of our diversity. It is who we are. It is what it is to be British, that we are able to be reasonable, pragmatic, tolerant, live and let live. And to tear away at that will destroy our country.
All right, now I'm really going to expose this fucking fraud. He tells this bunch of school kids that reforms policies, they're divisive. Their politics will tear this country apart. They will destroy this country, which for a start is highly ironic because reform are surging on public concerns about housing, immigration, public services, the regular things people are worried about. Whether you like reform or not, it's very normal to have those concerns. And what he's saying is they're a threat. They are a threat to Britain. All the while, this man's leadership is hanging by a thread. He's plunged the leadership of this country into fucking chaos. He's the most hated prime minister in history. But they'll destroy the country. Reform are so divisive. Well, they look a lot more together than your party does at the moment, you fucking bozo. Now, let's look deeper at what he actually says and the language he uses, because that's where the cleverness of politicians actually comes in and how they manipulate people to think what they want you to think. We're a country that brings people together. We're proud of our diversity. That's what it means to be British. We're tolerant, we're live and let live. What he's doing there is he's wrapping his own open border pro-immigration stance in warm, patriotic language. And what that does is it means that anyone who disagrees with him is automatically the bad guy. He's defined what Britain is, so if you attack that, you are attacking Britain itself. But that's not Britain. That's his definition of Britain. And notice again, there's not a single mention of any of the actual fucking problems he should be solving because he hasn't got a leg to stand on, because he can't hang with anyone on the actual issues. He's just using fluffed up language like tolerance to demonize people who do say enough is enough. Too much of anything can be a bad thing, including tolerance, especially if you're so tolerant that you won't stand up for the quality of life of your own people in your country. And by the way, why the fuck should anyone be tolerant when people in this country can't afford houses and can't afford to have kids at this point? They are so much worse off than their parents' generation and their grandparents' generation. It's not even funny. So fuck tolerance, by the way. This guy gave billions to the Ukraine military and is letting the pensioners freeze, but we should be fucking tolerant. Oh, us Brits, live and let live, aren't we, Keir? Yeah? We can't afford to live, you cunt. It's the same gaslighting that you get from all of them in the Labour Party. You hear the same shit from Sadiq Khan all the time, man. The same two words, always. Divisive, diversity. Same two words every time. And it's ironic that they sound so similar and they're always used to control the way people see the situation. Imagine calling the people of the nation divisive when these people pushed uncontrolled immigration to insane levels for decades with no vote, with no consent, all the while telling us that diversity is unquestionably good. No matter how much the country changes, no matter what the ramifications are, and we've currently got 3.4 foreign-born people in the UK on benefits. That's costing us billions, by the way. But none of the consequences of what's been put on the British people were ever considered on the basis that people being different to each other is automatically better. And the more diverse a country is, the better it is. Let's not stop at some diversity, which is a good thing. No one's denying that. Let's make it our entire fucking identity. Why? Diversity is our greatest strength. That's why. Whatever that means, because apparently all we can offer in Britain these days is diversity. That's all we've got. Best thing about it. Because if I've got this right, the less we have in common and the more differences we have, the better we'll all get on. Because unity and what we actually have in common, that's not a strength. That's actually not a strength. Diversity is. Yeah. Because the more different we are, the less divided we'll be. Yeah. Clever shit, man. Clever shit. Now, some of you lot, racists probably, you might suggest that it's gone a bit too far, this. You might think we've become so diverse that that's actually what is dividing us. But not me. I'd never say that. And I'm far more tolerant than you lot. I'm so fucking tolerant. I've tolerated you lot in the comments for a good 10 years now, so that's probably why. Just while we're on it, there is a new poll. 44% of Britons apparently say that they sometimes feel like a stranger in their own country, and 50% say that they feel disconnected from the society around them. I wonder what could have caused that. Yeah. Totally unrelated, I'm sure. Don't forget the takeaways. Come on now. Come on, we'll have a takeaway. I'm having a Chinese tonight, I tell you. And look, the irony is, right, immigration is a great thing when it's controlled. But the people of Britain have a fucking right to say when they think it's time to draw a line and go, this has gone too far here. And the funny thing is, these politicians who've changed the demographics of communities so rapidly and created these cultural divides, they're never called divisive. They're the ones calling people divisive for fucking noticing it. And that's how they subvert everything and combat the narrative and brainwash people. And this is currently how Keir Starmer's playing things at 10 Downing Street. He's hanging on for dear life, the fucking prick. But the public have spoken loud and clear. This is a vote of no confidence. Get the fuck out, Keir. Unfortunately, in Labour, he has to have enough official challenger to actually get him out, and they're just such a bunch of talentless twats. I don't think they're going to find one. So we might be stuck with this bastard for another few years. But on the plus side, at least the twats in Labour know how the rest of us feel now. They're being held hostage by this useless prick, and they're powerless to do anything other than fail. Welcome to our world, Labour. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. Obviously, I'll get a load of shit for this. I always do. But like I said at the start of the video, the working class people I grew up with, they've had enough of this. And I'm simply just saying what a lot of people are thinking, and I don't give a fuck if you don't like it. Hit the like button if you haven't already. I'll see you on the next one.